Another day in the collection room. And there goes David standing around.
Another day, another figure.
Yeah, another figure to add. I think he just got one. Actually.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, these two.
The dingalings? Topper dingalings?
Those two. He got.
For anyone out there who knows what those are.
Yeah, my dingaling, my dingaling.
Yeah.
So today we just wanted to talk and do another discussion. Getting to know David series. Because everybody wants to know about dear old Dave.
Oh, do they? I don't know about that.
Yeah, the man of the hour.
Man of the hour.
David Eon. Shh. Yay.
You can't forget about the lovely Miss Lady Pop Hunter, though.
Yay.
What would David be without LPH?
Dead.
You digging the hole already?
Oh, my bad.
What the hell?
Gotta get you in it.
Oh yeah, get me in the ground. That quick, huh?
It's been a long time we've been together.
Yeah,
Like,
10 years.
what, 5 years? Oh, 10 years.
Come on. She messes with me a lot.
I always tell him I don't know how long we've been married.
Yeah, she does that to me all the time. What's our anniversary? When's your birthday? She does that to me all the time.
He doesn't let me forget his birthday. He always bringing it up.
I am not. Anyway.
You know my birthday's coming.
Come on. You're awful.
So anyway, get to the topic at hand.
Yeah,
we want
the meat of the discussion here.
We want to talk to David about the direction of his collection, because as you look around, and if you've seen our tour videos, and we've went through, I think, figure by figure almost of everything that David has, and
everything that's out anyway.
Everything that's on display, because he does have a lot of stuff that is not on display. He has a wide collection, you know, a broad collection,
the spectrum of different types
different
of action
things.
figures.
Yeah, and you know, you look at some people's collection tours and it's the same thing. Some people have very focused interests. Like, we watched a couple of videos, they only do Predator or Predator and Alien or Star Wars or all G.I. Joe, stuff like that. But as you look around,
Marvel Legends and WWE wrestlers.
Yeah, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, and we're not saying that that's something wrong, but you know, some people like certain things. They might have 2 or 3 things and that's all they collect. But as you see in David's collection, you have all kinds of stuff from different years, spanning all the way from what, 1960 something is your oldest?
Yeah,
I believe.
Of course, early 60s would be the number there. I feel like you pointed out the dingalings.
Yeah.
Or you see the deluxe reading Battle Wagon is like what, 1961.
Yeah, and then I mean it goes all the way up to today. He has some stuff from 2021.
Yeah.
So that's a wide range, and we just wanted to talk about that. Like, what got you into the collection? What is your drive and your passion behind the collection and the diversity of it?
Well, a lot of it is nostalgia, obviously. I think that's why most people collect at all, is for the nostalgia of it, because you want to reach back to those simpler times. You know, when you were a kid, things were a lot more simple. Things were easier. You thought they were easier. You thought they were harder when you were a kid, and you sat there and you told yourself, I can't wait to grow up, because when I grow up things will be easier. No one's going to tell me what to do. I can do whatever I want. I can buy whatever I want, stay up as late as I want. And then you grew up and you found out that it actually gets worse. And so you spend your whole childhood wanting to grow up, and you spend your entire adult life trying to recapture of what you lost.
Yeah.
Now that you realize that you've lost it. Or as the old saying goes, youth is wasted on the young. So to be able to reach back to that simpler time, to those memories, and take a piece of it, and hold on to that, admire it, and also for me, not just so much having a piece of those memories, there's the artistic value of it. These toys were sculpted, thought went into it. Some are more realistic than others, but a lot of thought went into the construction of these. In most cases, unless you're like Durham, but at least they had great artwork.
When you said that, what did you mean? Unless you're like Durham, because you were saying some has great construction and great thought, and then you said unlike. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, the Durham action figures were notoriously cheaply constructed. They were just crap, and that's something that could be said to a point with a lot of them. The toy manufacturers never expected the stuff to last this long. It was, a kid play with it, break it, throw it away, whatever. They didn't think that 40, 50 years later, adults trying to reach back to their childhood would be looking for this stuff in decent condition. But certain companies were a lot more lax about that than others. And that's why I pointed out Durham. If anybody knows anything about Durham's action figures, they're notoriously cheap. But that's not something that has really changed either, because there's a lot of modern action figures that adult collectors paying a lot of money for that are even more poorly constructed than the vintage ones.
So looking through your collection now, again, you have such a wide collection, and right now we're on G.I. Joe. You have a lot of G.I. Joe, and I'm seeing, I guess, this what we're looking at right now is original.
Yeah.
And then you have some over here, I'm guessing, that, and when I say original, I'm talking about they're from the 80s, right?
Yes.
And then you have some over here that are even older. They're from the 60s, right?
Yeah.
This grouping right here is from the 60s.
Flocked hair is from the 70s.
Okay.
Painted hair is from the 60s.
Now, with that said, and not just talking about G.I. Joe, but all your collection, do you have any completed lines?
Yeah, there's a few that are complete or close to it. It's not always easy because sometimes a line can be really expansive. All of the Hasbro G.I. Joe, 60s, 70s, and 80s, there's tons of it. So it can be very difficult to finish anything. Other lines are a lot smaller, like the Mattel 9-inch Space 1999. That's the whole run. One playset, 3 figures, and they canceled the line. They're not easy to find on the cards and in good condition, but you can finish it. Right here, the Kenner Chuck Norris line. That's basically it. There's 2 other figures. I've got them out because I don't have a case for them. But there's essentially 10 figures in one vehicle. You can finish this. And so I have been able to do it. Or the Remco McDonald's. I know somebody asked me to do a showcase on this one, so which I will be doing shortly. I do take requests, but that's the whole run of the Remco 1976 McDonald's, which is a pretty cool set actually. I love this, and I love the card art. And that's another thing for me too, is the artwork on a lot of these vintage pieces really jumps out at me.
Now, with that said, I am noticing you got a lot of figures that's either in the box on a card, and then you got some like these G.I. Joe and this thing right here. I believe that's Mask, and a couple of others that are not in the box. Are you particular about if the figures are in the box / card, or if it's loose, or it doesn't really matter? You take it how it comes.
Well, yeah, that's kind of an odd question to answer, because, well, for one thing, like I said, these are my original childhood G.I. Joes.
Okay.
And they weren't gifts. I didn't get, I don't have the happy-go-lucky Christmas like a lot of the guys that you see on these. Oh, here's me opening up my USS flag. No, that wasn't going to happen in my household. All of these I got on my own. I had a hustle for every single one of them. I like them in the box because, I mean, especially with Hasbro GI Joe, it has always been fantastic with artwork. You know, I really appreciate good card art. Good card art. This is good artwork. You know what I mean? They wanted it to pop so that the person who was looking at it would think it was attractive and say, you know what, yeah, that looks really good. The whole thing sends a message. I like things when they're mint in the box, mint on the card. If I have it or can get it boxed or carded, I will leave it that way. If I can find it loose, a really nice loose example, I'm not above that. You know, I once upon a time had one boxed and one loose example of everything. When I had the original collection, the one that was stolen that I talked about in the previous video.
Yeah, we heard that story.
Yeah, so I would like boxed and carded, like the $6 Million Man. You see the Oscar Goldman here. I had the entire $6 Million Man series, everything Kenner made, a boxed and a loose example. And I'd put the box up like this, and then I'd have another Oscar Goldman kind of standing in front of it. You know, and I used to like to do that. But if I can find it boxed, I like that because it's part of the history of the toy. The artwork says something. It can tell you something about the time period. It can tell you something about the selling point. What was this worth at the time?
Yeah, because some have, you'll see some figures that you buy, it'll still have the price tag on it. And that's always cool to see.
I think it is. Some people don't like that. They get OCD about it and they want to take it off. And I like it if it's a reasonable price tag. And what I mean by that is that the price tag's not overbearing. Like right here, here's Nakoma from Grizzly Adams. He's got a $5 price tag on there.
Yeah,
that's
a tiny price tag.
That's the original price tag. I'm good with that, you know.
But not that GameStop price tag that covered a whole window.
Yeah, there. Once upon a time, when they would put, or they still kind of do that, like you mentioned GameStop, they had, they would put a clearance tag. I'm not above a clearance tag,
like that one, that Toys R Us, I think.
I think that might just be the Toys R Us Plus.
Oh.
Or like KB, they would just redline it.
Yeah.
That's fine. But, and you often see these on, I know I'm all over the place now because you got me going. I often see these on the Remco McDonald's and the Welcome Back Kotter figures like these. And there's a big, it's like a 3x4 orange tag, was and now.
Yeah.
And it's like this, and it covers the whole, because they just slapped it on there, they didn't care. And then people will remove it, but you can still see the outline of where the sticker was. No matter how professionally you remove it, it's going to pull the finish off of the card. So, but if it's a little tag like that, you know, that's a little bit of the history of the toy. It doesn't bother me at all. And sometimes the prices will surprise you.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at like this gigantic Boy Scout Kenner playset, and then you look at the Kmart price tag and it says $3.86. It makes you sick to your stomach. But still, I think that's cool.
Now, looking at your collection also, you have some things that you have some box art, some different boxes. And some of the boxes are different. You know, well, okay, we'll talk about modern. Let's say G.I. Joe is a great example.
Okay.
You have, who makes G.I. Joe? Not Mattel.
Hasbro.
Hasbro makes G.I. Joe.
Hasbro makes G.I. Joe.
And right now, they have two. They have one that goes to Walmart. They have one that goes to Walmart.
Yeah.
And a totally different one that goes to Target.
Target.
Do you have to have? Okay, and then not only that, who Mezco is making one now.
Yeah, Mezco is going to be doing GI Joe now.
Is going to be doing GI Joe.
Destro's going to be the first one.
And then another company, maybe
3-0
Three
is making
Zero's going
6
to be
scale.
making them. So with that said, do you have to have every single toy makers or toy manufacturers
Yeah.
version of the toy or the product?
And I think that can get to be a real headache, honestly. And there are people that want to complete that, they want to have everything. But I think that that is one of the things that's really hurting the adult collectors market, personally, is the diversity of different companies or even different releases within a company. Like you mentioned the Hasbro G.I. Joe, you got the classified series, and you've got the what is it, the retro series. And so which one do you want? The classified or the retro? Or are you going to try to get them both? Now that Mezco's making them too, do you want the Mezco 12 scale ones? 3-0 is making them. Do you want the 3-0 ones? There's supposed to be a Snake Eyes movie. You know that means another set of figures, right?
And it's going to be a Lady J TV show.
Yeah, that's right. The TV show's coming out. Are there going to be figures with that? How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? And that's something that's a real problem, I think, with modern toys and action figures, because you have when you go to the old lines, like, you know, I have the Inhumanoids back here, right? Hasbro Inhumanoids. Only Hasbro made them, and that's almost the whole set. And there's really no variants. There's no store exclusives. Just Inhumanoids. There's some knockoffs that were sold in like Woolworth, and the knockoffs are actually pretty valuable. But that's it. You could finish this. You could do this. You could go back and find this and finish this. With the modern figures, if they're scattered all over the place and there's exclusives all over the place, and don't get me wrong, toy stores have always kind of done that with special editions. There's Sears exclusive, raw G.I. Joes, and things like that. But or like Brave Star here, you know, there's exclusive sets with Brave Star that were only available in different places. Like there's a Tex Hex and Marshall Brave Star 2-pack exclusive. I forget who carried it. That happens, so store exclusives are not new. What is new is the exclusives getting scalped and artificial demand aftermarket being created that makes it difficult or even impossible to complete these sets if you have any integrity, because you sit there and say, well, you know, I should be able to find this in the store. I don't want to pay an extra $80 for this figure. It doesn't make sense. And you would be right. It isn't fair that you can't find it in the store, but it's always at the convention and it's always on eBay.
Okay, so back to what our topic is. Now, back to the toys. You have a lot of different lines and everything, and you said that you do have some complete. Now, the ones that are not complete, do you need to complete them? Do you really want to, you say, man, I got to complete this line? Or is it some of them you're fine because you have the ones you wanted? You only wanted, like let's say for an example, with the Brave Star, you only wanted season 1. I don't know how many seasons. It's just an example.
Okay.
But you get where I'm going.
Yeah.
Do you have to complete every line is the question.
It would be nice to. I'd like to try to, and if opportunity comes up, I would try to do it. But there are certain things that you may not be able to complete it. Like, again, Brave Star, that 2-pack that I mentioned is extremely rare. I think I've only seen one for sale once in the last 2 years, and it got stupid money. There's a Marshall Brave Star in 3030 2-pack that's ridiculously expensive that was a store exclusive. And I have to resolve myself that, you know what, if I can never ever find that at a reasonable price, I'll just have to suck it up. It's not going to break my heart if I can't do it. G.I. Joe, you know, I love the 60s G.I. Joe. I used to have a huge line of it. Certain pieces have gotten well beyond realistic expectations of being able to purchase them. Like if I ever wanted the nurse in the box, it's probably never going to happen at this point. You know, I don't know if there are any that are not in a private collection anymore, and the price on that would be astronomical at this point. So can kind of resolve yourself that, you know what, I'm probably never going to be able to get one. Things like that.
So with that, you're tackling. How do you buy your figures? Do you say, okay, I'm going to complete Inhumanoids, so I'm going to get all Inhumanoids, and then I'm going to move over to my cops. I'm going to get all cops. Or do you tackle them as they come? You say, oh, here go a Brave Star, and that's at a great price. I'm going to get that. Now here goes a cops. That's a great price. I'm going to get it. You know, how do you tackle buying your figures?
You could focus on a specific line, but if you're doing more than one line, you could miss out on another one. So, I mean, it kind of makes more sense to cherry pick here and there. You know, just watch a bunch of different lines or check a bunch of different things on the eBay is like the place to go now. Or if you go to the shows and you see something that pops up that's part of a line that you're interested in, because you may not see it again. It may not come up again. So yeah, I kind of have to jump around and watch different things, and if something pops up, I'm like, okay, let me grab this while I can. Let me grab that while I can, if I can, if bidding doesn't get crazy, which does happen. You know, there was a G.I. Joe ATV, like Secret of the Mummy's Tomb or something like that. It was a sealed box, popped up on eBay not too long ago, and I was like, oh yeah, let me watch it. That damn thing got near $4,000.
Oh my God.
You know, the bidding just did not stop, because people were like, a sealed example? Hell no. And I was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to do it. I had to let that go, because that just was not realistic. That was way out of my price range for being able to buy anything for the museum.
Okay, and then I think the last question, unless you got something else, just thinking about something you were saying before. We were talking about stickers and how price stickers and how some people take it off. And I know just from knowing you and when you purchase things, especially that is in the box, how, I guess perfect is the right word, does the packaging, box or card, have to be? Are you really overly concerned about the condition of the card / box, or it doesn't matter because it's a rare figure and I got it at a good price?
Yeah, that's a kind of a hard question. It's like, I would like to get it in the best possible condition, and if I come across another one that's better, I'll get it and then sell the old one to offset the cost. But sometimes there are certain pieces that come up that, even if there's some damage, you may not see it. You may not see it again. I mean, I got a couple of examples over there. Like, I can grab it.
Well, we'll turn.
Okay.
Just give us 1 minute as we turn, as we shift.
Like I was mentioning, the Kenner, Chuck Norris, that's the Red Ninja. And you can see the card, it's not that great. You know, there is some damage to the card. Someone removed a sticker, and that's what I was talking about, where if you take a sticker off, you're always going to be able to tell. But you never see the Red Ninja on the card. You always see him loose. He's never on the card. So I was like, yeah, okay, you know what? Even though this card is a little rough.
$10.
Yeah. Even though this card is a little rough, it's not as like clean as my other ones. Like if you look over here, these are nice and sharp and unpunched for the most.
It's clear.
Yeah, they're nice and clean. When am I going to see another Red Ninja on the card? You know, you're just not. You're not. You see them every couple of months. A loose one turns up, doesn't have the accessories, gets crazy money, and this came up on the card, and I was like, all right, you know what, dude, I'll take it. And if I get another one that's better, maybe I'll sell this one. You know, or the Durham, the world's worst action figures. I still love them though, and they got great card art. I'll give them that. That is a terrible looking figure, and the card is in really rough shape. But this is actually a bootleg of the ideal Evel Knievel, and you don't see it, not even loose. So okay, on a rough card, I'll suck it up because I've got the other ones, and these cards are actually kind of nice. But until if I ever find another one on a better card, this will do. You know. I try not to be too hard-headed about it. Depends on how rare something is.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I have, unless it's something that you wanted to cover or talk about as far as your collection, the deck. Well, one last thing.
What's that? Yes.
The direction that you're going. Do you plan on expanding? Is there some more lines that you want to add, or you just focusing now on what you have and completing what you have?
Well, what I would ultimately love to do is like replace a lot of what I lost, and which may never happen. You know, when I was collecting this stuff, it was really inexpensive. It was really cheap. And I talked about that a lot in the stolen video, the stolen collection video, where I had basically everything from Star Wars, carded and loose. I had hundreds of loose figures. I have 2 left from that original collection, sitting over there with the G.I. Joes.
Not including the one you bought at the last convention, because I know you bought something. Didn't you buy a Star Wars?
I did. I did buy those two Star Wars pieces at the last convention. I was happy to get them because I used to have the whole set, and that's the deluxe 1978 figures. And I got Princess Leia and the Darth Vader, and like I said, I had the whole set loose and boxed. I had tons of Star Wars. It's all gone. It was all stolen. But it would be nice to do that again. But that's a big can of worms. But there's a lot of other 80s lines also that I find interesting, attractive, intriguing, that I would like to get into that I don't have any examples of, that I didn't have before. Like from Toy Chic, I got the LJN wrestlers, and even back then I never had anything from LJN. So I've got 5 loose LJN wrestlers. I'd like to expand on that. And you know, when you've got your finger in a lot of pies like that, sometimes it can be hard to keep track, and you want to complete a line and move on to another one. Yeah, I'd like to expand. I'd like to get back some of what I lost and get some closure with that, I guess. I mean, I have closure with it because it's in the past and it's over, but I'd like to do it again. But now it's gotten to be so expensive that it's, in certain areas, it's kind of unrealistic, is what I mean. I'm not going to get a carded vinyl cape Jawa again anytime soon. You know, it's not going to happen.
You don't know. You might buy a house and go up in the attic and be like, God, I got to clean this mess out, all these boxes. And then you start pulling it out, and it's boxes and boxes of vintage action figures. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. You never know.
Things happen.
Yeah, things happen. I could win the lottery.
Yeah, see?
And then I just go to the convention and just be throwing money about. Huzzah! Here, take my cash.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I know. I would treat you.
Oh, yay.
Yay. Of course I would.
But I think that's all. Again, unless you have something else that you want to touch on or talk about.
Just to remind people, one of the biggest arguments I hear, I've brought this up before, from collectors that collect modern figures is that they do it because they think they can't afford the vintage ones because some of the vintage lines are intimidating. Like I just brought up the Star Wars. I mean, what does a vinyl Cape Jawa go for on the card now? About 6 grand. You know, that's intimidating. But most of these other lines are not that hard. What if I told you you could get most of the Ken or Chuck Norris figures for around the $50 mark on the card? That's not
Care
bad.
Bears for under $30.
Yeah, the Kenner made Care Bear action figures.
Nobody wants that.
They might. You got some. They might. A lot of these figures, they're not that much. They're actually, in some cases, cheaper than their modern counterparts. I brought up the Toy Biz as an example. The Toy Biz, X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man, whatever, are cheaper than the retro versions that are being sold now if you went back and got them from the 90s. So don't you don't have to kill yourself. Actually do the research. And don't get too divided between lines. Look what Mattel is doing to collectors right now. I'm going to throw Mattel under the bus real quick. You might get upset at me. They've got their Origins line. They've got their Mega Constructs line. There's the Mondo 6th scale figures.
He talking about Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe from Mattel. Okay. There's going to be the line based on the new show
Yeah, from Kevin
from
Smith.
Kevin Smith, and from the other new show, because there are going to be 2 shows, one for adults and one for kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Kevin Smith is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Revelations.
Yes.
And the other one, I think, is just Masters of the Universe. I think.
Yeah. So how many lines is that? And then what if you also like Origins? And what if you also like the Super 7 Filmation line? And what if you also like Vintage Masters? I mean, how far down the rabbit hole are you going to go? Are they going to have, like, what, 5 different lines running at the same time? Mattel. And do you get them all? Do you pick one? Do you say screw it and go back to one of the older lines and say I'm just going to concentrate on classics? I'm just going to concentrate on original pieces. What do you do? And I think that a lot of the lines being presented to modern collectors, a lot of the modern lines, the adult collector market toys, are pulling collectors apart too much. They got them spread out all over the place. Funko is a good example. They release a line. Okay, we're gonna release a line of, you know, pick any TV show. We're gonna do Cheers, and there's 18 figures that they're gonna release, and 12 of them are gonna be in 12 different stores, and you got to run all over town trying to complete it and can't find half of them. And too much of that goes on now. Back then, when there was a variant or a store exclusive, you rarely had a store exclusive. It's usually around Christmas. A variant was an accident, or it was because it's a foreign distributor. You know, it was the same figure made in another country, so there's something different about the card or the paint scheme. Nowadays, they do it on purpose. They do it on purpose to get a hook in you for that artificial demand, for artificial demand market modeling, which I've talked about a lot, and I've used Funko as an example of that quite often because they produce so much stuff, it's kind of obvious that what they do and that they do it. And I'm just telling you, you know, if you're a collector of modern pieces, don't kill yourself trying to get a line together. And also, try to be careful about being a completist with it, because there is no end to the lines. There is no end. What if you wanted to be a completist and you were doing Star Trek action figures from Playmates? You know they made 420 figures. How do you finish that? You know, and if you do, where do you put it? I think that sometimes when people are trying to complete lines, when the lines are too expansive, they get caught up in it and they end up getting things they don't really need or want. And they hold on to it because it's valuable, or they think it's valuable, or they think it has the potential to be valuable. And that's dangerous, especially with modern figures, because those figures could take a big hit. Look what happened with Kenner's starting lineup. Kenner's starting lineups, that some of them were getting over $100 a piece back in the day, now are sitting in dollar bins. You can't give them away. That does happen, and it happens with modern figures too, where the price comes up and up and up in that artificial demand market, and then bam, it crashes. And people fool themselves by sitting there saying, oh, well, I just love the figure, it doesn't matter. If you had a figure, excuse me.
The cats are fighting. Ooh, they fighting good too. David got a new stray cat.
If you heard that trampling.
They're up there fighting, running around, because they don't get along.
They're working on it. They've been quiet for a few days.
Yeah, they have to fight it out. That's the only way. You know
Sometimes.
how bullies are.
Sometimes.
You beat that bully butt, and then you're good after that. Sometimes you just got to fight it out.
Made me lose my train of thought.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you was talking about those starting lineup in Cabbage Patch and how it was so expensive at one time, and now it's not.
If you sat there and said to yourself, well, I don't care if it goes down and whatever, if you had a collection of figures that you spent, say, $10,000 on, right, all in, and then 10 years later they're worth $300, you're not going to be happy about it. I don't care how much you love the figures, okay? Because there's not just time and energy that goes into it, but there's money that goes into it too. All of those are different kinds of investments, and if something hurts any of those, you're going to be upset. Just some food for thought. I mean, you collect whatever you want to collect. I'm not telling anybody to or not to collect anything, but I just wish people would think about it more. Think about, do I really need this? I know that's a whole nother topic of discussion.
So is that it, or you have something else you want to
Oh, I could go on all day. I should be doing podcasts. But
well, we wanted to talk about your collection, the direction you're going in, and all of that, and I think we have that covered. So if you want to talk about something else, we'll film another video.
Oh, okay.
So
big hint.
So we're going to go and check on these weird old cats.
Yeah, because they still
see that they're not tearing the house up.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you guys later.
All right.